Welcome to another special edition of JMC Live. This is February 18th, 2012, and I'm here with my wife, Miranda. Why don't you say hi to everybody real quick?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Yes, we're here in the studio. I'm trying a different setup for you guys, if you haven't noticed. For those that are actually in the chat, we have a lot of stuff, and I wanted to start with a good story to bring in some good news. I wanted you guys to see this. Do you remember this guy at all? Do you remember anything about the man with the golden voice? Well, I have to tell you, Ted Williams, the Golden Voice Williams, is now, a year later, after cleaning up from the drug addiction, after getting his life together, he is not only pretending to be impersonating a radio broadcaster. He actually is. He's been doing a lot of different things for such as several people from the Oprah Winfrey Network to the Cleveland Cavaliers. MSNBC hired him. So did Kraft Foods.
And I saw that commercial.
And Miranda saw that.
I didn't realize it was him until I just watched the video.
And he's
like, oh my gosh, it was
and
him.
He's a regular at the New England Cable News. I mean, this story here is just an amazing one because of what God has done for this man, and it reminds me of kind of like my story. Yeah, I didn't have the drugs and everything, but it's just amazing to see that God can take somebody who has gone through something so difficult and transform their life completely changed. Of course, we have to talk about Whitney Houston. Now, there's just so much video, and there's just so many different things about Whitney that a lot of people are talking about. Specifically here, I've been on the phone with one of our ministry contacts in California to some ministers and pastors and other people involved with drug addiction, and everyone has used the word broken vessel. A lot of people, the controversy was, should they have talked more about her drug use? And I was like, no, a funeral is not a place for that. It's a topic to talk about outside of the funeral, because you got to realize you're talking about someone's life. You're talking about where someone should be and where someone's going to go, and you cannot allow a funeral to become a feuding focal point. I don't like that at all. Personally, we believe that God did use her death to bring people to Christ. I mean, look at how many networks and how many people are talking about her all over the place. People wanting to know about Jesus and what...
It needs to be, it definitely needs to be a wake-up call to people that just because you're famous, you have money, you have every material possession you never want, you're not happy. Those drugs become more important than anything else in your life.
Yeah.
Drugs don't discriminate. Drugs don't care if you're a Christian, any kind of religion that you're in, whether you're married, whether you're single, whether you have kids, you don't have kids, whether you're rich or poor, wherever you're at in your life, drugs don't discriminate. Drugs destroy anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Oh yeah, and when it comes down to the line, I don't really care if it was something she did or something someone else did. The fact of the matter is she wanted to have a relationship with Christ. Yes, there were things in her life that were bad. Yes, she did die. Yes, there's people that are still alive today, and that's what I'm going to focus on. If you're listening to my broadcast, or you've heard something about Whitney Houston, or have you heard anything else, what can you do personally to transform your life so then you can make a difference to those around you? Because we all know someone who's been involved in some form of addiction or some kind of problem. Some people are famous, some people aren't. This affects everybody. And what can we do to see that change? And it all lines up to, what are you willing to do? The Bible is very clear that even, like Psalm 23:4 says, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you're with me, and your rod and staff, they comfort me. I also want to look at another side of this whole situation, like I was saying, from a biblical standpoint. What does God say to you in the middle of this? Right now, I know a pastor's father has died. There's going to be a funeral on Monday. I know living right down the street from a funeral home, there's a funeral almost every day at this place. What does death do to us that aren't directly affected? I'm not talking about if you are listening to the broadcast right now and you know someone who just recently died. Do not listen to this message portion. This isn't for you. This is for those of you who don't know Whitney Houston. I don't know Whitney Houston. You don't know Whitney Houston. Unless you're really a relative and all that stuff, it doesn't apply to you. So my question is, what does God want you to do when you have these situations and circumstances come and you hear about a famous person and there's controversy, or maybe there's not even any controversy of how they live? I've had older people talk to me about Elvis and other stars and whatnot. This is honestly one of the first celebrities that has died that had a church service that was publicized like this. People talk about Michael Jackson, but that wasn't the same ambiance situation either. So what do we as Christians do to be able to serve the living? Because we're not supposed to focus on the dead. Yes, we're supposed to remember the dead. Yes, we're supposed to be able to grieve the lost. But how can we save these living peoples around us? A lot of people like Whitney's music. A lot of people know the tragedy between her and Mr. Brown. So what do we do? And the Bible's very clear to serve one another. And as Jesus said, his greatest commandment was to love one another. So my biggest question to you is, what does that mean for you? So I'm going to ask Miranda, what does the death of Whitney Houston mean to you? How does this, affect your life? I know she's not, someone you know, but from a Christian standpoint, what does God say for you to do when something comes about and you're not able to be directly affected by it? It's not something, you're going to ever have to worry about. But what do you do when these things come into your life and you hear about this stuff? How do you talk about it? Do you talk about it at all? I mean, is this something that we're just supposed to just ignore because she's, she wasn't on a gospel album, or you don't really know much about her?
She knew a lot of gospel stuff.
So what do you do? I mean, that's my question. What is the...
how I reacted to her death, I was really heartbroken because I love her music. I really loved her music. I have quite a few of her albums, and I mean, she really, honestly, put out some good, clean music. I mean, she really did. I mean, it isn't like what you hear today.
Yeah.
And nobody could sing like her. She had a way of expressing a song like no one else could. And she really just could draw you in that song and make you feel, at times, that song was about you.
Okay. So...
And, she was a great entertainer. But beyond that, the drugs was the second most highlighted thing of her entire life.
Okay, so as you as a Christian, what are you supposed to do? What does God say for you to personally do when you hear something about this? Like, how does it change how you communicate with people? Do you bring up situations or something you should talk about?
I think when people were so many people are talking about her and how she was such a wonderful person, and at the same time, I have to say, do we really know if she was? Do we really know? People will say, "Oh, I know her." We really don't know her. We don't know what was going on, and all we know is what the news says. We have no proof of really what was going on behind the scenes, and clearly the ones who are suffering, is her daughter and her family.
Okay.
And when I posted on my own Facebook, is that I am heartbroken for her family and her daughter, because they are the ones who are suffering because of her choices in life. Those are the ones who are suffering. Her daughter is the one going to suffer, honestly, the most. She's only 18 years old. That's a big time when you need your mother, and she doesn't have that. And we really don't know if she had her a lot, because the drugs were such a big thing. In experiences we have personally seen with people, that the drugs is more important than your family and your kids, and so many people have opened up to us online about what they've done
Yeah.
And how, you know, they even sold
my question has been answered that it doesn't change anything that you do. You just go on with your own life, and it doesn't affect you at all.
It does affect me because you have to, because it just clearly keeps showing that we have an epidemic in this country and across the world. That the drugs are just absolutely out of control. And I'm just talking about the U.S.
Okay.
I mean, this week, in our local newspaper, the police confiscated, just in a taxi cab. Our city only has between 20 and 22,000 people. And that's not very big if you think about big city and big city crime. But what happened was a drug dealer was caught bringing over 1,100 pills, nearly 1,200 pills, into our city to sell. It was nearly $40,000 worth of prescription drugs. Not only did they find all these pills, but they also found 3 firearms. One was a .44 caliber, one was a semi-automatic. This person come from, I do believe, out of state, on a Greyhound bus into our city to sell these drugs and possibly these firearms. And luckily, they were taken off the street, and these drug dealers were taken off the street. Thanks to somebody for giving the police a tip. That is honestly the only way we're going to get these drugs off. And also, these are prescription drugs. Doctors are prescribing these medications many times. And many times, the doctors don't care that the people are addicted to them. Just this week, a bad doctor, as I'm going to call him, was sentenced to 4 life sentences in prison because he was the doctor at a pill mill, and he was just writing scripts like crazy for prescription drugs, and people were addicted to him, and he was making lots of money, and he was a bad doctor. Okay. So I mean, that's just where we're at.
That's kind of part of what I wanted to find out with you, with just where you thought with that. I'm gonna just end up transitioning on, because you covered a lot, so I'm not really gonna have to. You went way beyond where I was wanting to go with it, but you went there.
My brain's going.
Other breaking news of the day that I want to cover in this first 15 minutes of the hour is some biblical prophecy stuff going on over in the Middle East. We got Iran warships docking at a Syrian port after crossing the Suez Canal. Now, this is something that some of you don't care about, but let me explain to you why that this is so important. Do you realize this is the second time since 1979? I wasn't even born in 1979 that this has occurred. And if you want a little snippet of, well, they're not doing anything bad, they couldn't have anything I need to really worry about. What if I told you Iran has a warship that not only has been in the Suez Canal, but it's also has been possibly placed in the Gulf of Mexico? There's a picture of it, guys. You see that? It looks like it's a 420 foot or longer. You see the various satellite communications. And this is not a used ship. It doesn't look like it. If it is, it's not that old. This is the second time. This is something you Christians, you need to wake up. 20 years. 2 times. And they have a ship of this capability that, I'm assuming there's missiles and all sorts of nasty stuff on here. Last February, it was an Iranian frigate and the supply ship passed through the Suez Canal. That's what that really was. But the fact that this is going on, along with the nuclear program, we seriously have some issues that really, yeah, and that's the fact. A lot of times when you have a ship like this, you can have, may not be nuclear powered, but you could possibly have a missile that has a nuclear core in it. I'm also looking at the top. It looked like there might be an R2D2 Sea-Wiz. R2D2 Sea-Wiz is a small little round, three-dimensional, 360 rotating 2,000 to 10,000 shell gun that's done electronically. You push a button, you put a lat long, and it shoots 2,000 missiles. That's what it sounds like. 2,000 missiles. And it's in 3 seconds. 3 to 12 seconds, you can shoot 10,000 little bitty craziness. Now another piece of the puzzle that's going to freak some of you out. It's been a while. It's been quite a while because I've been tracking and following the microchip.
Implantable microchips.
Implantable microchip capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be via newsy.com. Now you need to see this and you need to watch it for yourself.
MIT researchers have conducted successful human tests for the world's first wirelessly controlled microchip. The drug-releasing microchip is designed to treat osteoporosis patients. According to MIT's, scientists used the programmable implants to deliver teriparatide to 7 women aged 65 to 70, and there were no adverse side effects. Teriparatide reverses bone loss in patients. The drug requires a daily injection for 2 years. The Wall Street Journal explains the inconvenience of taking the injections.
Nobody likes to get shots, so one of the estimates are that by the end of 2 years, only 25% of women or patients, mostly women, who need this are taking it.
The clinical advisor explains the chip aims to replace the hassle of taking injections. Microreservoirs hold individual sealed doses of the medication, and an electrical signal is used to melt the metallic membrane covering the reservoir, releasing the drug. BBC interviewed Dr. Robert Farah, president of Microchips, the Massachusetts-based company that led the study.
We will be freeing patients from the burden of their disease. They don't have to think about their disease anymore. They can live a normal life. They don't have to remember to take an injection or worry about the pain of an injection.
And The Guardian sees this as a huge leap for the industry, saying the possibilities of a drug-releasing microchip are endless. The work is a major step towards an implantable pharmacy on a chip that could be filled with a variety of drugs to treat long-term conditions. The price of the device has not yet been determined, but researchers say the cost should be similar to those of daily injections. According to U.S. News, Farah hopes that the microchip will be approved by the FDA within 4 years. For Newsy, I'm Anna Campaign-Romero. Multiple sources.
All right, guys. That's one of our big breaking topics of the day.
They said 25% of all people that have this wrong with them could have this implantable chip in 2 years. 2 years. That's how fast this is going.
And it's being approved in other countries. That's one of the kickers that a lot of you guys don't even realize, that this isn't something that doesn't already exist. This is the right here now, fellas. And
of course they're not mandating people to take this chip, but I mean it's only making people more comfortable with putting things on, implanting things on their body, implanting things on their hands, on their forehead.
A good example of making things comfortable, you guys know that I like Transformers. Well, I bought the new Transformers Prime movie, and it's a movie of the TV show on the hub, and this one girl, I think it was the girl, I think it said it. No, it was a smart little kid with the spiky hair, short little dude. Okay. And he said, well, I was watching cartoons one day, and some dude on TV said they implanted microchips into the military.
They are doing that.
This is something that is getting out of control very subtly by placing it in TV shows and movies. And of course, I realize I'm not saying that there's not going to be a medical benefit to saying having a microchip to releasing medication, whereas you can't take a full pill because you get sick off of it or something. Yeah. I kind of understand that. I'm not saying that's the mark of the beast.
Well, they're saying people.
But if you have a chip,
you understand what they're saying? They're saying people don't want to take shots.
Yeah, they don't want to take shots. I understand.
It's too inconvenient, and they don't like the pain.
So you get this microchip that lasts for 20 years. You don't have to have a shot. But I'm talking about if there's a chip with the capability of being, used and placed in certain places like your brain, because that's the thing. It's supposed to be in your forearm or on your forehead. These are the two places that apparently are going to be the big iffies. The one on the forearm and even the one on the head and elsewhere, that's going to be the problem. When you see things like a few years ago where we posted, CNN was talking about China having a microchip system where you can wear on a wristwatch or internally in your body, and they were doing a cashless society. Well, I'm talking about when
they are doing that.
And they are doing that. We're talking about when a chip system maximizes cash, medical, government, all across the board. The problem is, once you take one, it makes you more subtle to want to take another. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to sit here and mandate, well, you got to do this for your health. You got to do this for your, to get, you want a bank account, you got to do this. You want to do this. Until eventually, it's all masked, all wrapped into a small little package that you can't get out of. Mm-hmm. And Revelation is very clear about who you are and what we're about. When it comes to, you take the mark on the forehead and on the wrist and how it changes things. And we'll have all the Bible references for you here in a little bit. Because there's just so much that I'm trying to cover here.
Just read Revelation. It says right there that, they will be forced to take the beast will come and he will force you to take a mark on your head or your hand. And if you don't, you will be killed.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what it says in Revelation. I mean, read Revelation, read Daniel, read Ezekiel. It's all there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it goes from Old Testament to New Testament. Everything is covered.
And people are saying, well, you're just crazy. I'll hear this at college. And I'll actually sit in a room like a fly and not say a lot.
Here it is.
Which one did you find?
It is Revelation chapter 13. And it is starting at verse 15. The second beast was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, and so that the image could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed. It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. And there you go.
Yeah, guys. It's something that's already here that a lot of Christians and a lot of people, they just don't want to admit. First they were saying we're liars and we're crazy. Now they're not saying we're crazy. They're saying we're crazy that we're going to lose our rights. So they're saying we're crazy for being worried about something.
Oh, they're taking our rights away. We're going to talk about that at the end of the show.
And that's one of the things that Miranda's has a big topic tonight.
I think this should be like we're getting pretty close to the halfway point of the show, so we might want to just cover this.
We're going to be able to do everything. We're going to get it all covered. Here we go. The Vow. The
movie The Vow.
Well, this isn't just a movie, guys.
It was a book, and it really happened.
Why don't you tell everybody about what really happened, Miranda?
If you have seen the movie, most of the movie is, the facts are there. We're in an accident. She lost her memory. And sooner or later they work things out. But what isn't true is that the people in the movie, in the real life, never got a divorce. They didn't swear like sailors and say GD and stuff like in the movie. And they did not have premarital sex and live together. They were Christians. They are Christians. They stayed together. They worked it out. And 3 years after the accident where she lost her memory, they got remarried. And today they have 2 children. And they wrote a book years ago about their life. And how God was really what got them through all of that. And how their relationship began with a long-distance phone call, which is very similar to mine and Jeremy's relationship. I don't know how much of I haven't read the book, but what in the movie, at times, Jeremy and I felt like we were watching our own lives. In the movie, the guy, he both his parents are dead. Both of Jeremy's parents are dead. She's an artist, kind of a free spirit, kind of like me, but the emotions they went through, the struggles they went through. If you watch this movie, you're gonna and people wonder what our lives are like, with me dealing with the Crohn's disease and the gastroparesis and the PTSD and all the different things my body is going through. You will watch this movie and you will know exactly what we're going through. Jeremy even said, it's as if somebody put a camera or a recorder in our house and spied on us. And I will tell you, that was the most heart-wrenching movie I ever watched, and I truly believe that it was because we are going through those emotions and those same kind of struggles to keep our relationship intact through my illnesses as these people were. So that's what we watched just a couple days after Valentine's Day, and it was also the first time in 2 years I was actually able to go see a movie. That was a big stepping stone in my life, just to go see a movie. And sadly, that'll probably be the last movie we see in a long time, because I couldn't believe how high the tickets were just in 2 years. So.
All right, and now on to Nick. For those of you who don't know who Nick is, he just got married. Nick is a man without any arms.
And legs. No
legs. And he's addressed over 3 million people in 25 countries. He just recently got married. The reason why we wanted to cover this, and the reason why we wanted to share it with you, is a combination between the vow, our story, and then Nick's own personal story, that no matter what you've gone through, no matter what you lose or you don't have, God can still give you an opportunity. I mean, look at this. He doesn't have any legs.
Enlarge the picture. Click on enlarge. So, there you go. There, that looks better.
You like this? No arms, no legs. Why don't you start talking to some people in some chat there, man? They're talking to us. I have to tell you that I've actually met this dude a long time ago and heard his story. And I cried like a 5-year-old, if not even younger, because the whole situation with his... I mean, he gets himself dressed, he does all the things he needs to do for himself, and he just keeps moving on and on and on. And he doesn't let it stop him. He doesn't let these things hold him back. And you're kind of wondering, how in the world does a man do that? Well, it's Jesus Christ. See, the simple thing that happened is he got saved as a kid. And a lot of people don't even realize the whole capacity of what he's about. They don't even realize that God can put two people together and transform a life way beyond anything else that's happening. Now, talking about life, this is something closer here to Ohio. Ohio churches are fighting the contraception debate here right now locally, because there's the big issue going on about mandated Obamacare. There's a big issue going on about covering whether or not we should pay for abortions. Should we be allowed to pay for contraceptives?
Should we have to pay for someone's choice?
Yeah.
They made that choice to have sex. Mm-hmm. And they made that choice to get, to do what they did and know that they could possibly get pregnant. Should we have to pay just because they made a bad decision in their life? Should you have to pay for that? I mean, I honestly think they should have to pay for that.
That's one of the biggest issues right now. All across Ohio, Christians, non-Christians were asking this question: should people... Huh? Yeah, but this is next.
Okay. So I guess we're going to go back to the contraception mandate thing.
I'm kind of wondering whether or not And I've seen a lot of Christians fight about this, and we're just covering this just a little bit because I wanted you to see a picture. Because we're talking about this right now, and I want you guys to realize that while here in Ohio we're talking about Christians wanting to do something, what about Washington, D.C.? What does Washington, D.C. allow you? Now, this tape was put up after these men were placed here. These men are praying. They have signs. Things are being photographed. And as you see, the police are arresting them. Now, what are they doing? They are praying. It's a pastor, it's a priest, pro-life men and women, praying for those that are going to have abortion, praying for those that...
Praying for the president, too.
The president, praying for all these people. They're not doing anything other than being against that section right there. And there's a lot more people than just those few.
My problem I have with
Look at this group back here.
Yeah,
There's a bunch of them.
My problem I have with this is when the occupiers showed up there just a few weeks ago, they didn't have this happen to them. Guess what they had to do to get arrested? They had to throw smoke bombs at the White House to get arrested. These people stand there and pray, don't yell, are peacefully and quietly assembled, as it says in our First Amendment rights that we are allowed freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, and the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. There was nothing they did wrong in this video. There was no, you even see the bystanders. There's nobody screaming. There's nobody yelling. Everybody's just standing there. There's no smoke bombs being thrown, but yet they're the ones who get attacked more. Why were if we're supposed to be a equal rights country, let's put it that way, then why did the occupiers not get arrested till they became violent? Why didn't they get arrested when they first assembled? Like these people. I mean, it is clearly a biased thing going on. And of course, we know Obama is in support of the occupiers. He has even said that. And many of his constituents, as I'll call them, have even openly said they are for what they're doing. The occupiers. Well, you know, OWS or whatever. Occupy Wall Street.
Speaking of atheists there, since someone said that, Stephen Hawking honestly has challenged President Obama's view of his life and said, I believe he may be an atheist. Now, speaking more about life, we're going to share this with you.
Oh,
this mini comic. Your mom will have to pay for the chicken nuggets, but the condoms are free. And this is connected to Contraception, but it's also connected to our next story.
Yeah.
And you're kind of wondering,
this is something
what does this image
absolutely
have to deal with?
I've been livid about this week. In North Carolina, preschoolers are having their lunch boxes inspected by, quote, as that comic showed, federal food Nazis, as I call them, and as the cartoonist called them. But earlier this week, a woman came forward to the news and the press saying, my 4-year-old daughter took her homemade lunch to school, and at lunchtime a food inspector came by and looked at her turkey and cheese sandwich on whole wheat bread and her banana and juice and a bag of chips in her lunch box and said, that is not a nutritious lunch. Here's some chicken nuggets. So they made this little girl go to the cafeteria and eat chicken nuggets. This little girl is a very picky eater, and she only ate 3 chicken nuggets. She ate no fruits, no vegetables, and she went home not eating her lunch. And guess what? The mother was charged and has to pay for the lunch. Now, the school is saying, well, that was a mistake. That was a misunderstanding. That will never happen again. Well, today, another mother from the same school come forward and said this happened to her preschooler. Her preschooler had this food inspector look at her lunchbox and said this salami sandwich with cheese on it and on wheat bread. Yeah, the daughter had a cheese and salami sandwich on a wheat bun and apple juice to eat. The lunch she got in the cafeteria, again, was chicken nuggets, a sweet potato, bread, and milk. And the child really didn't eat any of it. So this mother's come forward, and now the school is, people are really mad at this school. They started this whole thing. I mean, if they're doing this to preschoolers, what are and in my opinion, why aren't you checking the kids' boxes if you're supposed to be such a, profound food inspector? Why aren't you, attacking the kids with Twinkies and donuts and stuff in their bags? I mean, that's unhealthy food, right, Jer? And chicken nuggets are definitely unhealthy. I have to sometimes eat chicken nuggets, but I mean, if you're so against bad food, why are you giving these kids chicken nuggets? That's less healthy than what these kids even had in their lunchbox. So now this school, and people are really against the school. They're wanting to investigate them. And also this second mother was also charged. Was told she had to pay for this lunch that her daughter really didn't eat either. My problem with this is that there are starving children coming to school every day, not getting enough to eat. Why are we focused on whether or not they have nutritious food? I'm sure most of the food the kids are bringing are nutritious. Why are we not focused on the kids who are going home hungry, are coming to school hungry? They're not having a lot of food in their lunch. Why are we not focusing on that? Should we be focusing on the children who aren't getting enough to eat, whether, aside from the kids who are? I mean, there are people, I shared this on Facebook, I said there are people, I literally watched this video like a year or two ago. There are people over in Africa, they're eating mud. They are literally taking mud and they're eating it because they are starving. Why don't these Nazi food inspectors go over there to make sure these people, and also people in our country who are homeless, who are starving on the streets, have enough food? Because there are children out there doing that too. They're being affected by this too. What is wrong? I mean, the priorities in our government are so messed up. I mean, yeah, we have an obesity problem, but honestly, the obesity problem is because of all the additives and all the preservatives and all the crap that they have added into our food. They have taken the food out of the garden and into the chemistry lab. And they have seen, well, what can we add to this food? And what can we do to this food? Instead of just pulling it out of the garden, washing the dirt off and say, here you go. That is the problem. It is not these homemade lunches. I mean, clearly what these two kids brought was, there was nothing wrong with that. And what I said, this is communism, because if you look at China, if you look at especially North Korea, you look at back in the Soviet Union, they rationed every bit of food that everybody eats. And they told you when you ate, what you ate, and sometimes where you ate it. And you didn't have a choice what you ate. What is the difference between those communist countries and what's going on at that school? And possibly other schools across the country. There is nothing. One person even said, I think we need to go back and read the book 1984, and I even say read the book and watch the movie so you get a visual. Because that's what happened in 1984. You remember, Jeremy, those people only had a certain amount. They were basically imprisoned in the communist government they were in. They didn't have a choice on what food they were eating. They were just given this food and they would say, eat it. There's no difference between that and what's going on at that school. Oh yeah, you're completely right. And something else that I'm not going to be able to play, but you're just going to see it, and it's going to catch Miranda off guard. I might actually play the video. No.
What if I told you that this video that I'm not scrolling any further for you to look at is going to teach your kids as young as 5 years old how to have sex, how to masturbate, how to have anal sex.
Where will they be showing this?
They will be showing this in schools.
Okay. So then we go back to, well, your mom will have to pay for the chicken nuggets, but the condoms are free.
Mm-hmm. And here's how the condoms will be free, guys.
Where are our priorities? What is more important? Paying for food or paying for condoms? What is the more important to the government? The government would rather pay for condoms than pay for food. That is truth.
You know, this story is, if I get this thing to work, it is, it's going to start as National Condom Week. It started on the 14th, to be honest. And the American Life League is doing this. Whether you know it or not, this week is American National Condom Week. And they're giving out condoms in school. This video talks about hooking kids on sex. 10-year-olds are going to be learning how to put on a condom, how to have sexual intercourse, and how to masturbate. I've watched the video. It actually has a song in this video.
They have a song.
There's a song in the video that they cover that talks about different names for penises and vaginas.
Oh, Lord.
And it has some folky,
And they're going to do this to 5-year-olds?
Oh, yeah.
So 5-year-olds are going to be around...
Well, 10-year-olds, excuse me. But even still...
Even when I was 10, I was going around saying, my parents never knew what was going to come out of my mouth. And now you're going to have these kids run around singing these, my blank, 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 blank.
It's supposed to be called STARS also, which is another group. Seriously talking about responsible sex. And I thought responsible sex...
These kids can't even have sex. They're 10.
That's one of the things I'm wondering about.
Why is this being responsible?
They're saying their example is we must teach the children before they know what sex is and can have sex to keep them from having sex. Or, better yet, when you go to Planned Parenthood, and I'm actually going to do it, this is something a lot of you haven't seen. When you go to Planned Parenthood itself, there's actually a section on Planned Parenthood that allows you as either a teen or a kid or whatever to learn about it. You think I'm making this up? It's right here. Info for teens. You don't think this is Planned Parenthood? I'll blow this up even more. So you know I'm not making this up. PlannedParenthood.org/info-for-teen/ right here, info for teens. And I'll scroll this in so you can see it a lot better if you don't believe me. Like I'm making this stuff up. Like I just pull these stories off the top of my head, you know. And it's really funny. At the liberal college I go to, I have people say, well, we shouldn't be teaching kids how to do that. I'm like, you're not? It's right here. Info for teens. Our bodies, sex, masturbation, relationships, pregnancy, gay, lesbian, transgender. Ask the experts.
Oh, that means people that have had sex so many times they don't know how many.
Yeah.
So not
only are teens being taught about sex, they're
Jeremy, are these also the experts on STDs and sexually transmitted disease?
It goes even further.
They have them.
It goes even further. This is going to get slightly R-rated for some of you because this word is going to freak you out. Look what this says. Asking the experts. So what are you asking them? All about sex. Your questions answered. Am I normal? What does your body look like? Breasts, penises, vulvas. Yes, vulvas. Little kids can go to this website. It's not banned at college. No. It's not banned in your high school, and it's not banned in your junior high or high school classes. It's not banned in your elementary school.
The only place it'd be banned is if you ban it.
I understand about getting your period. That's what my mother talked about.
That's all I was taught in school.
I understand eventually you might want to teach about condoms and all that stuff, but
I was
10 years old? What in the world?
We've been out of school since 99. A lot of things have changed.
So I thought I would show you this because this is what your kids are being shown. You don't have control of what they're shown in class. And if your kids don't tell you, you're not going to know.
And if they're seeing it at school, they're seeing it all over the media.
I mean, good grief. This stuff that I just showed you, it's all over TV. It's all over MTV. It's all over the place. Teen,
16 and pregnant.
And you can't get away from it. So what do? You can't just isolate yourself from the world. We know this.
You have to educate yourself.
Some of you can afford homeschooling, which that's what I suggest for a lot of you. But not all of you can do all that. A lot of you need to be careful. Now, I have a funny story about a band called Five Iron Frenzy. And they had a song called These Are Not My Pants. Well, what if I told you in a weird way that MTV is making a show called Pants?
Oh yeah, it's I want my pants back.
It's called I Want My Pants Back,
Yeah.
and it's supposed to be about some kind of creepy. You're gonna have to close stuff. I'm losing quality here. It's supposed to be about some crazy thing about wearing clothes and foursomes and threesomes and stuff, and I don't even know why they're even allowing this stuff on TV. You know, if we don't...
It's coming on like right after or right before Teen Mom and 16 and Pregnant and all that other stuff. So
one of the biggest things that I have to say...
I have to say that's messed up.
That if we don't keep talking about this stuff...
Yeah.
If you just sit back and have a private conversation... say, well, this stuff is bad, we don't need this, and you don't really step up and get out there with your family and your friends, your church, your job, and be that voice where you're at. I can't be where you're at, guys. You can watch my show every day of the week, and you can hear about these stories and about how people's lives are changed and how things are bad, but if you don't carry the message to someone else, if you don't take that opportunity to reach someone else, the people around you are going to go to hell. The people around you are not going to know any different. And they're not going to see any hope. They're not going to see any change. They're not going to see any love. Because if you sit here in your boxes all day long, that's this world stuff that we're talking about tonight
And I really
will take over.
Can I say something? And when Jeremy says boxes, he's talking about your iPhones and your Android phones. You're more busy focused on that tiny screen than you are the big picture that's around you. I can't tell. I mean, you see it every day, Jeremy. I see it. People are so obsessed with these little screens and these little handheld devices that at times they're walking into streets and getting hit by cars. They're falling in. There was some girl fell in a manhole and died. You know, I mean, there's all kinds. People are so focused on their little box.
What's in your head? We're talking about the box of your head too, guys. You know, if you know these things are wrong, you have to be a missionary and learn how to communicate with the people around you. Because one of the biggest issues that I've seen from churches, from ministries, and others, a good example is the Westboro Baptist. They have a voice.
Yes, they do.
They believe homosexuality is wrong. So do I. But there's different ways you can deliver a message. You're seeing their way. You see our way and other people's way. You have to understand the audience, the people, your family, your friends, your coworkers, who are in your lives. How do you talk to them? When you do talk to them and you listen to them, how do they respond? What is the secret of how they actually work? What is the trigger? For those of you in the chat, this is your opportunity to communicate with us. And Miranda's going to watch while I continue the show. I'm going to ask a question. Miranda, write this question. How do you communicate? Write this, Miranda. How do you communicate? And this is for those of you that are listening to the show right now. I'm asking you a question too. How do you communicate the message of Christ when there's going to be conflict in that message delivered? I'll explain what that means. What I just said right now. You don't like MTV. You don't like the birth control situation. You don't like how the government is running. How do you tell somebody that? In such a way that they'll listen to you, they'll respond to you, and they'll accept your message. Because that's the secret today. Too many of us are waiting, and I had several family members and others have been telling me, I wait for someone to give me the opportunity to share the message of Christ. My thinking is, all day you have an opportunity to share the message of Christ. You don't need to wait for someone to come to you. You're supposed to be able to go to them. Christ did not say before he died, what did he say before he died? He said, I'm sending all of you out to spread the message of the gospel to the whole world. Not, okay guys, you're going to sit here in Jerusalem after I die, and the Holy Spirit's going to come, and then all these people are going to come and talk to you.
That didn't happen.
No.
They had to go out.
They had to go out.
And they went two by two out. And
that's the other part.
World.
See, that's the other part of this message. I know a lot of you, or some of you, are possibly single. We're going to need friends to do some of these situations. You do not need to be the Mr. Lone Ranger, the Christianity, as I call it.
No.
Meaning you can't just go talk to a lot of people by yourselves, because you need backup, you need protection.
And that's why Jesus sent the disciples out 2 by 2. You had to have a buddy. I mean, they tell you when you go swimming, use the buddy system. You know, when you're going out out after dark and in a place you don't know, use the buddy system. It works.
So I have to ask you, your time is almost up. The show is almost up. We got 9 minutes. There's 5 or 6 of you in the chat. I really want you to communicate this message to me, because I'm curious. How do you get a message out? What are the tools that you need to know? And I'll explain to you some of mine. One, you need to have a relationship with some of the people you're already talking to, so you know exactly what type of language works for them. And in some cases, you don't necessarily know people. You don't necessarily know. This is distracting. Stop. You don't necessarily know people are trying to get that message out. Yes, having a Bible with you is important.
Jeremy has one in his car at all times.
Yeah, there's one in my car all times. It just stays in there. It's real old and everything. I'll actually probably make a video with that thing, because you need to see my Bible, my little book I have. One of the things that happens when you have the Bible in the car, this is a tip I have. If you need to make notes, you need to get like sticky pads, or those, what are they called? Dividers, those little sticky dividers. If you don't have a Bible, I have a pocket Bible. Some of you can't see a pocket Bible. I understand that. But showing up with this big, massive, table Bible will freak somebody out. It normally does. It looks great on the table. Not walking down the street that you're going to beat them over the head with it or whatever. You need to have some places, or if you get a book like this, where it's just topics that you can just go to, listed for you. The Bible's not that clear, and I know a lot of people, clear meaning not everyone has the Bible memorized. That's one of the secrets.
And not everybody can understand it.
About it. You can't just necessarily walk up to somebody, quote a Bible verse off the top of your head, and they're going to believe you. In some cases, it does happen. You'll have to show some people. There's a lot of opportunities and things you can do. Have I ministered a lot at the college? No, not directly with the Bible. I've done it through some of the things I've said, and trying to create situations where I can pull people out of the classroom, or before class or after class, where I can talk to them and they realize there's something different about me.
Because these people, are absolutely against.
They're absolutely against religion of any kind, and if I bring it up too much, it will cause a complete chaotic disaster.
Yeah.
Meaning I could get kicked out of class, they could get kicked out of class. I don't want that to happen. I want to still be able to reach these people. And there are times that I've actually just gone straight to the heart with it, like when I've written my essays for English. When I do these with my communication courses, if I'm allowed to pick my topic, it will be something about life. It will be social work, humanities, philanthropy, and Christianity all wrapped into one little package. Another thing that you have to try and do when it comes to communicating this message with people is you have to find what I call the missing pieces of the puzzle. You need to kind of understand who you're talking to before you start talking to them.
I just love how you transition that. I just love that. That was so sweet.
It's so.
What's funny is you really didn't have it planned. I mean, your mind's just going all the time. I'm sorry, I had to say that. I'm sure people think you have that planned, but you don't.
I do have this planned.
You do, but you don't. I'm sorry.
So what we got to do, just like the message with me and Miranda, I'm gonna take advantage of the situation.
I know the people in the podcast can't see the video, so.
You can't see Miranda on the chat. She's over here fiddling with stuff, and I'm seeing it inside of my head, and I'm sitting there wondering.
My attention span is about 50 minutes, and I'm gone.
Yeah, Miranda's already kind of tuned out or something. One of the things you have to do is take advantage of what Miranda just said. Is you have to realize that there are a whole lot of times, where there are people in our lives that don't have a lot of minutes. They don't have a lot of time. So some of you need to take paper and pen, and you need to be able to go with one of your friends. You can even ask me or whatever, and you need to be able to get a message out to somebody in 2.5 minutes. Sometimes, for those of you who aren't regular ministers or whatever, you don't have that. And yes, Matt's correct in the chat there. God will give you the words to speak. But God also has told us, as it says in Proverbs, to iron sharpens iron. And for you to be able to share your testimony, for you to be able to share a message, to be able to do anything God wants you to do, you have to put it into some form of practice. You have to be able to move beyond all the different things that come in your life, because if you don't, it just ends up placing you in some kind of awkward situation. I don't want you to go out there like super warriors and get knocked down. You know, I love that the show can be used as a focal point, a part of a bigger masterpiece picture of something to talk about.
When people kind of like there, they are going to get knocked down.
Yeah,
at times.
Yeah, there will be people going out there.
You gotta be. What I think what you meant was prepare yourself to get knocked down, but be ready to get back up. Yeah, continue fighting.
So that's what this whole story's about. A lot of you are going to go to work tomorrow. Some of you might go to church tomorrow. You're going to see a lot of people. Whitney Houston's going to be something you're going to be able to bring up. You're going to be able to bring up the food story. You're going to be able to bring up Nick's story. These are different things.
You're going to be able to talk about the vow.
And you got to realize, all of these things, they're not stories. These are people's lives we're talking about. They're not superheroes or porn stars or movie stars. They're human beings. Everyone is a human being that we've talked about tonight. They're not some mythical creature.
Let me say something.
You know,
they call Whitney Houston the original diva, and I don't like that, because a diva was a god, a mythical god, basically, and they made her a god. They make all these singers and all these celebrities gods, and people literally seem to worship them. And like you said, we need to realize these are just people. They're flesh and blood. They're no different than us. They're not perfect. They're not gods, and they have flaws.
And that's something I think a lot of people don't realize, that everyone's going to come and go, ebb and flow on the different things that have happened. And you have to realize that this is something God wants to try and transform our lives. He wants to try and bring us to a better place. And I honestly believe shows like mine, JMC Live, and the fact that Miranda's here is just a testimony of what God can do. It's been a long wait. Miranda has not been involved in the show for over 6 months.
Yeah, it's been almost 6 months, yeah.
And you have to realize that there's going to be times when you can't do all the things you want to do.
And sadly, I was up sick all last night and all through today until 2 o'clock this afternoon. But then I started having a little more energy. I got my medication in me, and I'm not 100%. I'm still about 50. I mean, it's going to take a long time to get me back to, where I was before, and we never know if I'm going to get back there.
Yeah, I mean...
But, I mean, I'm just thankful today. I'm having a pretty good day, and I'm doing something that I love to do. I'm doing the show with Jeremy, and it seems like Jeremy said, whenever you're on the show, we have more people show up for some reason. I had over 10 likes that I was gonna on my Facebook page said I'm gonna be on the show tonight. Like 10 people click like crazy, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. I don't know what I do. I don't think I say anything different than you, but I don't know.
It's because we're not one person. We're just one person. So if you're not here, it's not the same. People can tell. People can tell that I'm multitasking. Like, I'm able to focus and look at the camera for a change instead of looking at the screen and what I'm having to click. I'm able to act with, or reenact with people what's going on. So there is a big difference, and that's what it comes down to. What is it that's in your life that God wants to do so that you can make this difference? That's what this really comes down to. How can you transform your life, no matter any of the stuff that you've heard tonight? What can God do, no matter how bad this gets? There's going to be another Whitney Houston. There's going to be another Nick. There's going to be another me, another Miranda. But there's only one you.
Yeah.
You matter today. What does Christ want you to do? And there's not been a lot of Bible verses thrown at you. We've thrown Bible truth at you without even mentioning the verses here. For those of you that even realize that. I know there's people that are going to come to me after the show and want all the Bible verses. I can give you all the Bible verses in the world. But if you don't apply these Bible verses to your life, it doesn't matter what I sit here and say and do. I'm trying to teach you. I'm not trying to scripturalize you. You know, I know people that can quote scripture all day long, but if you can't put it into some kind of context for your life, and this is about your life, I try and make this show a show that mimics what you have to do, and that's why we offer all this stuff. That's why we have the show and Eternal Flame News and the music, and the list goes on and on, all the other stuff that's going on. And it's just something that I wanted to cover, and I wanted to let you know. Miranda, can you quickly, while I'm still talking, pull up the newsletter? I wanted to cover that as a closer. For those of you that are actually on the show, we're actually going to share right here at the end, because I know a lot of people don't subscribe to our newsletter, and it's been several months since we've had a newsletter. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to share the latest newsletter, and we're going to kind of read about it, because I don't think everybody has subscribed to it, knows about it. There's a lot of people watching, and I wanted to give people an opportunity to get better connected to what we're doing. I'm going to let Miranda...
I just shared it.
She just clicked it in there, but I want you to kind of share a little bit real quick with our listeners what our latest newsletters
we want
are.
to talk about, because we do have some local people from Chillicothe in here, is that we will be at the Middle Ground. If you go to reverbnation.com/JMC Ministries, look at shows. We will be at the Middle Ground here in Chillicothe on March 3rd at the Delivering Hope event. Jeremy will be speaking, and he will also be doing the opening closing prayer. And we will be having a table set up for JMC Ministries, and we're going to be handing out audio CDs from interviews we did with Pastor Foote of the Chillicothe Bikers Church. We're going to be handing out for free the interview we did with, what was her name, Nicole Wells, that runs the Daughters of Ruth Women's Homeless Shelter. And I think we're going to we got plenty of Jeremy Reynolds interview. He runs the largest family homeless shelter, Joy Junction in New Mexico. We got brochures. I am making some crocheted knitted items that will be raffled off. The Delivering Hope event, they are going to have a raffle, and I'm going to make some items for the raffle, because I do the hats and scarves and stuff for the homeless, so that's a way for people to see what I can do. And also it'll help raise money for the different nonprofit and different organizations that are going to be there. It's an event to raise awareness about homelessness, and also what organizations and what businesses are out there that people can go to get help.
To give you an example of the people there'll be the free clinic. We have a free medical clinic right here in Chillicothe, Ohio. If you do not have any insurance, you can actually go to this free clinic and get help.
My doctor, my family doctor, is one of the doctors that volunteers on a regular basis there, and he's a great doctor. So if you ever go there and see Dr. Beam, that is my doctor, and he's a wonderful man. Oh yeah, I'm going to show you the Facebook page. And actually, Dr. Beam, either he's getting ready to get back, or he is back from a mission trip in India where he was helping give free medical care to the impoverished in India.
But yeah, here you go, guys. I'm going to try and pull it up for you. I know you need to see it. Here it is, and it's all over the place. I know this is my personal Facebook page. You'll see all my craziness that's on here. People that have hit like or whatever, so I'll get rid of that here in a second. There we go. But yeah, this is the Delivering Hope Rally page. What you're kind of wondering is, what is it about? It's to bring awareness about local homelessness, extreme poverty, and mobilizing those to make a difference. Now, there's a lot of different organizations. I'm going to try and cover one here. This is Delivering Hope. They have a ministry in Africa and Ethiopia. And Miranda doesn't know a lot about this, but I'm going to go ahead and share a lot about it. They also have Because Every Mother Matters, which is another group about trying to get help. There's going to be t-shirts for the rally. They're all going to help all the different organizations. Who are some of the organizations? Also, the Daughters of Ruth. That's another organization that you definitely need to see about. And they have a Facebook page as well. I'll show you here in a second, as soon as this loads. Bam! Daughters of Ruth. Check this out, guys. Daughters of Ruth. It is an organization that we interviewed a few months ago. They're a women and children's actual shelter, and they have a Facebook page here. And as you see, it's just Daughters of, one word, Ruth. There's this list goes on and on. Even Love Inc.'s going to be there. Do you know what Love Inc. is? Love Inc. actually means Love in the Name of Christ. They have a Facebook page that you need to check out. Here it is, Love in the Name of Christ. How amazing is this Facebook stuff? Everyone that's on this event is on Facebook. It's just going to be quite amazing to see all the different people that are going to be listed at this event, because God is definitely trying to do something way beyond the norm here, because there's just so much that has come together in such a short amount of time. If you're kind of curious, the schedule, and it's tentative schedule right now.
I'm saying 1 to 6. And
well,
others are saying 2 to 6.
actually officially 2 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
The time is now moved back to 2 o'clock for some reason.
Then I'll have to change our upcoming shows because.
Yeah, you can do that.
Amazing though. Oh, if they show up at 1, doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. But this is a tentative schedule. There's going to be a band, Caleb Wolf. There's going to be a speaker, Amanda Toops. Then there'll be the Every Mother Matters Transparent Ministries band will be there. Another speaker woman. The Synergy Foster Agency. It's a foster agency to help people. It's also kind of connected to Elizabeth's Hope. Elizabeth's Hope is a pro-life group here locally, and I'm going to be one of the main speakers. There'll be another band. So this is going to be a quite big event. It might actually start sooner. It may go later. I'm not really sure.
It's not allowed to go any later.
The cool thing is you're going to the Middle Ground actually is a facility that hosts concerts right here in town.
The thing is, whoever comes to the Delivering Hope rally can stay for free for the concert that's going on after the Delivering Hope rally. There's bands going to be playing, and they said whoever shows up for a Delivering Hope rally can stay for free. You don't even, you're already there. You don't have to pay the ticket fee to get in. So that is really cool too.
Oh yeah.
And if you like hardcore Christian rock, then that's where you need to be.
And I mean, I really don't know who's going to be playing in the Middle Ground quite yet.
But that's normally who plays.
They have different nights now, things that they're trying to get accomplished. But yeah, that's just a little snippet of what's happening in our neck of the woods. We're going to also do a Hunger Summit February 28th. I'll be in a Continuum Care meeting. So there's a lot of stuff preparing for this event, other things going on.
Lots of meetings.
I have lots of meetings this month. There's a possibility of doing some more stuff with Pastor Foot if I'm free on a Friday night, because Friday night's when we go and he goes and feeds the homeless. He definitely wanted me to try and get connected more with doing that. So yeah, God's doing a lot in spite of
me,
of all the stuff going on.
I go back to the doctor this coming Thursday. I have been referred. We haven't done an update at all. I've been referred to Ohio State University to see a gastroenterologist who specializes in Crohn's disease. After some issues with my past gastroenterologist, my family doctor feels that it is in my best and is the best for me to get a new gastroenterologist. I'm not going to go into detail, but that's to say. But
that's it for us. We ran over 9 minutes tonight. We're going to end tonight. I just want to say thank you guys for coming. Miranda will stay in the chat to talk to you guys. I got to head to the bathroom real quick.
Oh, Jerry, you didn't have to put that in there.
And
you said I need to be indisposed.
I need some more water, but anyway, that's all.
Oh, that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
Is some water.
That's the closest thing to me. But yes, thank you guys for coming. We'll see you next week. God bless.